Hello, I'm Matt Hostecki, and this is the Flex 5, where we take 5 minutes to put a spotlight on different industries and give you, the viewer, some helpful tips. Today, I have Elizabeth Thomas. Elizabeth, do you go by Liz or Elizabeth?
Liz.
All right. Liz with Equestrian Elite. Liz has been in the industry for almost 20 years and has a bachelor's in equestrian science. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for your time.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
So Liz, what exactly is equestrian?
Yeah, so the definition of an equestrian is just a performer or a rider on horseback. And from there, we can stem into a lot of different areas. There are people who have their horse at home for fun and for trail riding, or there's people who compete in a lot of different activities with their horse throughout the country.
What are the benefits of becoming an equestrian? Obviously, it's a different type of sport, no balls. Tell us a little bit about the pros and cons, the differences between your typical, sport like baseball or soccer or something.
Yeah, exactly. So being an equestrian is great because it takes the physical fitness from other sports that you see and then combines that with communicating with a horse. So, in the fitness aspect, you are expected to be as fit as anybody competing in some of those other sports. So, and then on top of that, we have to have the communication skills to tell our horse what to do continually because as we know, from riding, our horses are always listening and always looking for communication from their riders. So it's taking the best of both worlds and combining them together. So in some aspects, it's tough because a horse sometimes, I always say it's like driving a car with its own brain. It doesn't always agree to the right turn or the left turn. Sometimes we have to figure out how to communicate that differently.
It's got to teach some different disciplines and skill sets than some other, activities or sports out there too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, you need your compassion for animals and the ability to say, hey, this ride didn't go great. I'm going to take a step back and figure out, again, how to communicate that differently, which is great for life. I mean, if you go to the workplace today and you have a coworker that you're working with and you can't figure out how to work with them correctly, sometimes you got to take a step back and say, okay, how do I communicate this differently? So the biggest thing and one of the coolest things that I find about being an equestrian is it teaches you life lessons from an early age. So you're preparing, especially your young children, how to succeed in life.
So I usually save that question for last is like, what's the tidbit, that somebody that's not familiar with your industry, what would you tell them or what would you get at? And you just nailed it because that's one of the big things as far as like discipline and the different things that you get from equestrian. So
Yeah.
how did you get into horseback riding and how have horses impacted your life?
Yeah, so I was blessed to have a pony when I was 7, and she was awesome. Her name was Lacey, and she was the one of stubborn ponies that I've ever come across. Now, I did eventually go into horses. I competed at a world championship level when I was 13 and going to aging out, which is going into your college years. And then I decided to pursue it from a college standpoint. So I got my bachelor's in equestrian science, and from there took and did a lot of internships at other world champion barns. And I specialize in Morgan horses, so I did a lot of internships at Morgan horse barns. So, and then from there, after my internships, I came back and I started what today is called Equestrian Elite.
That was actually going to be our next question. So what is Equestrian Elite, Liz?
Yeah, so Equestrian Elite is a lot of different things to a lot of people. And it's the biggest, broadest term I can say is we inspire people to learn about horses and horses to learn about people. And from there, we branch into two big sections: training, horse training, and lessons. Horse training, we help horses compete at whatever level or we help them find new jobs, be broke to ride, anything that is going to help their owner and them have a better lifestyle or communication style. The other half is horseback riding lessons. And this is, we start teaching at age 3, so 3 and up. And we teach riders at all ages, different levels, competing, not competing, leisurely riding, whatever you guys are interested in that has to do with horses. And we also have a little pack of mini horses currently. And so we have some riders that aren't interested in big horses. They come and learn about the little horses, learn to be around them, and how to communicate with them effectively.
So last question, Liz, if somebody's interested, how do you kind of get started into horses, or what's the best way to dip your toe in?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I would do is, we have this great thing called the internet. So I would do a little bit of research on what you guys want to do. So is it jumping? Is it going really fast and going around barrel racing? Is it performance riding where you have more of a show horse? And from there, search on those specific disciplines what you think would be your best fit for stables around you. And I will say that the stables that belong to breed organizations, the United States Equestrian Federation, are great because they have standards that they have to meet within their program to belong to these organizations. And they are definitely going to be effective and professional when teaching you or your child.
Excellent. I wish we had more time. There's so many more questions I want to ask you. There's a whole lot to unpack in that. But unfortunately, that does wrap up the Flex 5 here. So thank you, Liz, very much for your time. If anybody would like more information, you can always contact Liz at 440-320-4412. You can check them out on Facebook or their website, www.equestrianelite.com. This has been Matt Hostetke with the Flex 5 with Flex IP Solutions. Thank you very much.